It's week 2 of the MHSAA football season, and tonight it's a Macomb Area Conference crossover matchup between the Dakota Cougars and the Fraser Ramblers. Hello again, everybody. I'm Brad Fetters from Macomb Township Government Access, joined once again by Adam Abraham, getting set to call the action here tonight. And Adam, we started out our coverage tonight with the Dakota Cougars coming off a really tough 28-14 loss to Orchard Lake St. Mary's a week ago.
You know, Brad, that was a game they actually had control of. They had a 14-7 lead, and just a series of unfortunate events. A pick six gave up the lead late, but they really relied on their junior running back, the Javion Stepney. 20 carries for 168 and a touchdown. That's something they can go to all season long. They need to work on the passing game. 5 interceptions, a couple deflections. They weren't all the fault of Drosky, the quarterback, but that's a facet of their game they need to work on. But they definitely have some building blocks they can improve on as we move forward in this season.
Tonight's opponent is the Fraser Ramblers, who are on the road for the second straight week. They lose to Holly a week ago, 12-3. What do you expect out of Fraser here tonight?
Brady Berezowski is their sophomore starting quarterback. He's young, he's green, not a whole lot of experience at the varsity level. So there's some growing pains there, but this is a Fraser squad. They only have 6 seniors on the roster. 2 of them are at wide receiver. So it's important for them to figure out that passing game and get a rhythm on offense and hopefully put up some points, because they didn't do too well against Holly, only scoring 3.
As we mentioned, it's a crossover matchup tonight. Red versus blue coming up next. Opening kickoff on Macomb Township Government Access.
It's another fall Friday night, and your kids should be
playing high school football.
It's a fun game, and it's safer than ever.
It's safe because the rules,
The coaching, and the equipment are better than ever before.
As a result, serious injuries are at an all-time low. Seriously.
And build.
strong schools, lifetime memories, and tomorrow's community leaders.
And it's mother approved.
It's a great game, and we want to teach it to your kids.
Welcome back to Dakota High School. Brad Fetters alongside Adam Abraham. Fraser won the coin toss, deferred to the second half, so Dakota will take the opening kickoff here. Overcast skies, temperatures in the upper 60s, perfect for Friday Night Lights. Trevor Duff, the deep man for Dakota, and it's a little short kick. Bounces at the 36, recovered by one of the upbacks. It's Eric Reese, look out! He's gonna take it to the house. The opening kickoff of the game is a touchdown for the Cougars. Not exactly the way Fraser drew it up. They tried the little trick play on the opening kickoff to try to catch the Cougars off guard. And Eric Reese takes it all the way home for the kick return touchdown.
You know, we talked to Greg Bauer right before the start of this, and he mentioned that this is a very angry, upset team after their big loss last week at Orchard Lake St. Mary. There you see jumping on a ball and taking right off, got off the fingertips, and he knew where he was going. Quick start for Dakota.
Dakota going to play a little short-handed here tonight as well. A couple starters not going to get action here tonight due to injuries, and they break one off on the special teams, and Kralip adds the extra point and gives the Cougars the early 7-0 lead, 10 seconds into the ball game. The band hasn't even found their spots in the stands.
And if you're the Fraser Ramblers, that is worst case scenario. You're already fighting an uphill battle. You know, the blue versus the white, or blue versus the red, crossover. It is what it is. It's the differences in the skill level in the teams and the size of the school and stuff like that. And this is a very good Dakota team to come in here on their turf and give up a touchdown right off the bat, hoping for an answer quick on offense.
Coach Skladnowski of Fraser trying to catch Dakota off guard, and why not? When you're that big of an underdog, you got to take some chances, and they rolled the dice there in the opening kickoff, and Dakota with the heads-up play out of junior kick returner Eric Reese, able to take that one all the way to the house. So nice little buzz here in the stands. Slightly different start to the night as opposed to last week. A little bit of a shocking end to that game against Orchard Lake St. Mary's, and Dakota here tonight just looking to hit the reset button.
And that was a great way to push that off to start to go up 7-0.
So Fraser going to look to bounce back now. Brock Warchall, one of the deep men back for Fraser. Junior Kralip has it teed up, puts his big right foot into it. End over end kick fielded at the 10. Cutting across the field and hauled down and tackled just shy of the 20-yard line. Jack Murray, one of the Cougars, in on the tackle.
Looking at the numbers statistically coming off of that Orchard Lake St. Mary's loss, Dakota gave up 7 points through almost 3 quarters, just 1 touchdown. So defensively, from that look, you think they're playing okay defensively. You got to work on the offensive side of the ball. Talk to Greg Bauer. That's a different story. He saw, in reviewing the tape, and the team saw it, and everyone saw it, of the little mistakes they made. And if they want to head back to the playoffs like they have 19 years in a row, looking to make it 20, those are little mistakes you can't make in a ball game. And when it comes down to last week, that's how you end up losing a ball game. So this is an area where they're definitely going to work on.
Fraser starts a sophomore quarterback. He put the ball on the ground. So an absolute nightmare start for the Ramblers. It looked like Brett Anderson, one of the wide receivers who took the carry, fumbled the football, puts it on the carpet, and the Cougars recover it at the 15-yard line.
And something's going to happen over on that Fraser sideline quick. It's almost like that time they were scared to touch the ball. You know, you're all out of sorts already. And now you got to hope on the defense because you just turn the ball over in the red zone for Dakota.
And that was one thing that their head coach stressed to us, the importance of holding on to the football. He told us they turned the ball over 4 times last week against Holly, and it was eliminating those mistakes. And it comes right and bites him once again on the very first snap of the football game. Drosky fakes the toss, hands off. Trevor Duff, left-hand side, looking for the edge. He's got it out to the 5-yard line before he gets tripped up. However, there is a penalty flag on the play, early indication against Dakota.
Yeah, it looked like an illegal motion letting the play go. But that's an interesting design to come up there off the play fake. Stepney is someone that Dakota likes to use in the passing game as well in the running game. He's a phenomenal running back, but be able to open it up for your second-string guy to open up on the outside. There you go. There was a nice 10-yard gain that fortunately brought back because of the penalty.
So Zach Drosky getting the start, junior signal caller for Dakota. Gonna look to erase that tough performance in week 1 against Orchard Lake St. Mary that saw him throw those 5 interceptions. And you can't fault him for all 5. He hit a couple wide receivers in the hands that just simply got dropped. And there's Stepney right up the middle, works his way through that Fraser defensive line and works his way all the way up to the 13-yard line. Gain of about 14 yards there.
This is the Dakota team returning 4 or 5 starters on the offensive line, a very veteran squad for Stepney, the junior, to come in and be able to open the holes. And he's got that quick speed. We saw it in flashes last season, but right there, you're able to get past your lineman, and just like that, a snap of the fingers, 2 steps, you're in the second level.
Sends a man in motion. That's Trevor Duff, split off to the left now of Zach Drosky. Stepney, the lone running back. Fake the handoff to him, looking to go on the slant, in and out of the hands of Clinton Robertson.
Drosky's pass intended for number 14, Clinton Roberson.
That's ball maybe Roberson should have caught.
That'll bring up 3rd down.
Had good position there on the cornerback. Omar Bell, the man in coverage for Fraser, and Bell was one of the players we were told to pay attention to here tonight. Not only out of that cornerback position, but he's going to get a lot of looks at running back and wide receiver. He's kind of a do-everything player for Fraser. That's number 2 in white. So it brings up a 3rd and 8. Same type of formation look. They send a tight end in motion. That's Zach Greaves looking to go out to the flat. Drosky's going to tuck it and run, looking for a block, not going to get one. Changes direction now and is finally brought down right around the line of scrimmage. So a little bit of a broken play there for Dakota, and Drosky tucked and ran, and going to bring up a 4th and 8 situation now for Dakota. And they will bring out Colin Kralip.
Tough play there to be able to contain Zach Drosky. He's got a little bit of speed in the pocket. He doesn't like to tuck it and run it, but he ran 5 times last week, and he's someone who can put the ball on the ground. That's what makes him dangerous as an athlete. And once that pocket collapses, you're able to get out there. There he gained a couple yards. Good standby at Fraser defense. And
30-yard field goal attempt. The snap is low. It's brought up. Kralip puts the ball wide left. So Fraser bends but doesn't break defensively. They avoid one there as the field goal attempt sails wide to the left. And with 9:56 remaining in the first quarter of play, it remains Dakota 7, Fraser nothing.
And it's crazy to think of a concept where you look at that stand right there defensively. That was a big-time stand in terms of how this game unravels. And, I mean, we're only 2 minutes into just over 2 minutes into this game, and that's a significant defensive play. And now you got to hope for the Ramblers. Got to figure it out on offense.
Fraser really avoiding a disastrous start. You could have easily been down 2 touchdowns as the handoff goes to Omar Bell, looking for that edge, dragged down on the far sideline. Javion Stepney with the tackle, and Stepney pretty much played every snap last week for Dakota. And Coach Bauer, I noticed, said something post-game and to the press, how he was tired for Stepney because the amount of snaps he had to take last week against Orchard Lake St. Mary's. But the ability that Stepney has both offensively and defensively is a guy that you want out there and need out there.
Vertical and lateral quickness, very quick on that first step. Of course, you always love speed on your defensive side.
And another bad exchange between quarterback and running back as they put it on the carpet once again, and Dakota comes away with the football. And you got a sophomore quarterback back there in the form of Brady Berezowski, and 2 straight possessions resulting in fumbles gives Dakota a short field to work with once again.
And trying to get into one of these drives so we can start talking about this is a Fraser team that's young. They're green. They only got 6 seniors. They only got 30 guys on their roster. Joe Skladnowski, the head coach for Fraser, mentioned how this is a team sometimes he has to remind, get back to the basics. Hold on to the football. Wrap up on a tackle. Don't put the ball on the ground. Stuff like that, and that's a message he's going to have to send very quickly here with 2 fumbles already for the Ramblers.
Drosky out of the pistol, rolls out to his right, finds an open receiver. Trevor Duff up to the 10, the 5, stretches out across the goal line for Dakota, touchdown. 3rd possession of the game, takes 1 play, 28 yards. Easy pitch and catch from Drosky to Duff, results in 6 points and an early 13-0 lead.
Duff able to pick up that pass, break a tackle, and able to split a couple defenders into the end zone. Great play by the senior wide receiver, Trevor Duff.
Kralip coming out now. Matt Love, the holder for Dakota. Snap is good. The kick is up right down the middle. And it gives Dakota the early 14-0 lead with 8:53 now remaining in the first quarter.
And Fraser again will have a chance to get the ball back and hopefully at least string a couple plays together and keep possession of the ball. I mean, it's pretty simple when you're turning a ball over like that. This game's going to get out of hand very quickly if you can't get a snap to your quarterback to let him do something with it.
They've run 3 offensive plays. 2 of those 3 offensive plays have resulted in fumbles, and just an absolute nightmare for Fraser after enduring a little bit of a nightmare last week as well against Holly. Talking to the coach, he indicated they drive all the way up to Holly. They played 3 quarters of football before the lightning comes, and game gets canceled. You have to drive all the way back to Fraser and then take that 90-minute bus ride back to Holly the very next day to play basically just 1 quarter of football. They were driving down late in that football game and were stopped because of the lightning delay. And really threw everything, a little bit of a sort of kink into the game plan.
They were at the 30, and oftentimes when you see those games suspended like that, if you got the momentum and you've been scrapping that entire game, you're in the hole, and now you're looking at 7 points staring it dead in the face, that's just deflating to then have to take that long bus ride home, and you're just going to flat out be tired and upset and annoyed that situation became. It's Mother Nature. There's nothing you can do about it, and you can't make excuses for it, but you do have to have some empathy for that kind of situation.
And they've really run into quite a bit of a buzzsaw here tonight against Dakota as that kickoff sails over the goal line for the automatic touchback. And we called that game last week right here in Macomb Township Government Access at Cougars versus Orchard Lake St. Mary's game. And as we were signing off, I kind of indicated to my broadcast partner that night, Jason Burnt, that it's going to be Fraser that unfortunately took the brunt of Dakota's, upsettedness over their loss against Orchard Lake St. Mary's last week, and that has really kind of been the script thus far as Dakota has jumped out to an early 14-0 lead.
And that's an Orchard Lake St. Mary's team that they're historically a very, very good football school. They come in 6th in Oakland County's top 10 according to MLive, and 11 on the free press. So that's a top team in the state, someone you think is going to be there at the end competing for a state championship. And you're Dakota, you want the big dogs at the front because you know you're going to have to beat them at the end. And when you get it at home, that's a bonus, and it's a tough loss for them. And, of course, as you mentioned, it's an angry buzzsaw today.
And rolling out and just finding that big defensive line for the sack. And it's going to be Jordan Rice-Reno, the Dakota Cougar in the backfield. Berezowski, no shot there in that design rollout.
Yeah, and that's a tough battle to fight. When you're rushing forward, you're Dakota, you're falling back 7 deep, expecting a pass, and you're 4, get immediate penetration on the offensive line for Fraser. You got to put a body in front of a guy and at least slow him down to give your quarterback a second.
9-yard loss on the sack brings up 2nd and 19. And going nowhere, number 8, Brett Anderson, lost a couple, and this brings up a 3rd and forever.
Brought down by number 55, Austin Bastian.
The line to gain is going to be the 30-yard line.
Loss of a couple on the play.
It's going to bring up a 3rd and 22 for Fraser. 7:50 now remaining in the first quarter. Looking at the numbers on that far sideline, Fraser with about 30 guys on their roster, and a couple of them on crutches. So it's a depleted roster over on that far sideline, and just don't really have the numbers to compete with a big dog like Dakota. Brett Anderson once again bottled up. Gain of 1. Check that. That's number 9. Brock Workall. A gain of 1, and Fraser will have to punt the ball away.
If you're Bauer, you're happy about that. Quick 3 and out. Very good job by the defensive line to be able to get penetration on all 3 of those snaps, able to get in those lanes, not allow them to get anywhere, got pressure on the quarterback.
You talked about Dakota. You thought played pretty well defensively a week ago, but they gave up 332 yards on the ground to that wishbone attack of Orchard Lake St. Mary's. A much better start here, bottling up the run game of Fraser, and poor punt sails out of bounds right about the 30-yard line. So Dakota will start in plus territory on what will be their 4th offensive possession of the evening.
We'll see what they come at with them. Haven't really seen, outside of that fake, Stepney get involved in the backfield. That's someone they like to use.
3 wide receivers set. Darden Davis, the receiver to the bottom of your screen. Stepney, the lone tailback. Bring out Eric Reese in motion and sweep with him. Reese picks his way through the line all the way up to the 25-yard line. Eric Reese, a guy that Dakota obviously wants to get involved early here this evening after really not getting a lot of touches a week ago against Orchard Lake St. Mary's.
And Reese is a junior, 5'10", 165. He's got a lot of speed and someone they can use in a lot of ways on offense. That's really the story of this Dakota team historically, is they like to go out of the shotgun and they like to get athletes in there and let them run, pass, catch, let everyone do everything. And it looks like Eric Reese is going to be another one of those multi-versatile athletes.
Looks like they're going to send Darden Davis off to the sideline. Maybe an equipment issue, perhaps. They're going to lower his pant legs a little bit. Maybe covering up a knee brace. So it's going to be Jakari Foster to replace him. Trevor Duff in the slot, and the handoff to Stepney rolls his way up the 16-yard line. Good enough for a first down.
And this is where, if you're the Dakota Cougars, this is where your offense can get really dangerous when you show a couple runouts on the side with your wide receivers, and then you're able to hand it to Stepney up the gut for 8-10 yards every time. You loosen up that middle of that defense, and it becomes really easy.
Pre-snap penalty. It'll be a false start against Dakota. Second pre-snap penalty against the Cougars. And that's something they're going to want to correct after piling up some penalties last week against Orchard Lake St. Mary's. And the old cliche is football teams typically improve the most between weeks 1 and 2, and cleaning up some of those penalties and the turnovers were going to be key here tonight for Dakota.
Yeah, and Greg Bauer really mentioned the small things, and that's one of the penalties. It can very quickly become a big thing if you allow it to, but like a false start, there's no reason for it.
And Drosky flushed out of the pocket. All kinds of Ramblers in pursuit. A bit of a late tackle on this near sideline. Corey McDonald, the junior linebacker, in on the stop. And that's something I noticed a little bit last week. I thought Drosky at times may have flushed out of the pocket a little bit too soon. If that was a pass play, he certainly got out of there in a hurry.
And sometimes it's intentional by design, sometimes it's accidental. We mentioned his feet, the ability to be able to move, so it's definitely a guy you like to run out on the side, and that last touchdown pass was a play similar to that where you roll out to the side. Just Fraser did a really good job committing.
Drosky straight, drop back, floats up the pass, and it's brought down by Trevor Duff. The little fade to Duff, his second touchdown catch of the night, gives the Cougars the 20-0 advantage.
What a great throw by Zach Drowski. Threw it at Duff's back shoulder. As soon as he turned, the ball was there. There's no one else that could have touched that on his left hip. Just fooled the defender, crossing his feet, fell over at the end there. Another touchdown for the Cougars.
Pouring it on now, and why not? Turn the short field into 6 points. Phillip knocks it through. And just like that, the Cougars lead the Ramblers 21-0.
As important it is in the game of football to not make those little kinds of mistakes, it's almost as equally important if a team is making mistakes where you turn the ball over 2 times early in the first quarter, you gotta pounce on them, you gotta attack and take advantage of those mistakes that the other team committed, because that's how you get ahead in a tight ball game and you're able to jump on it.
And the name of the game is capitalizing on other teams' mistakes, and the Cougars have taken advantage of that, not only returning that short kickoff, but capitalizing on those 2 early Fraser turnovers. So 5:03 left in the first quarter of play. All Cougars all the time. They lead it 21-0. Brett Anderson, along with Omar Bell and Brock Warchel, the 3 deep for Fraser. A little 3-headed monster back for Fraser, looking for big special teams play of their own. End over end kick. Going to be fielded at the 4-yard line. Brought up that far sideline across the 25 to the 30. Changing directions across the 35 all the way up to the 38. A good kickoff return there for Fraser. And Brock Warchel gives the Ramblers good field possession here to start this 4th drive of the game.
Keep your feet low, keep them moving forward, and break through those arm tackles. That's exactly what they did there.
So it's a Fraser offense, Adam, that only gained 107 yards last week against Holly, and really an uphill climb now for Fraser.
You know, and you said one of the biggest cliches is that your most improvement happens between first and second weeks. Baptism by fire for the sophomore quarterback.
Berezowski sends Bell in motion. Will hand off to number 7, Eddie Williams. Minimal gain there on that far sidelines for Williams. I'll bring up a 2nd and long situation for Fraser. Fraser team that went 1-8 last season have only made the playoffs once the last 20 years. That was back in 2014, which saw them go 6-4. Their lone win a season ago was over Lance Cruz. So really, it's all about building a program, and you mentioned getting back to basics and just doing the little things.
Yeah, and John Skladnowski, the head coach of the Ramblers, recognized that, hey, this is kind of a rebuilding season for the team.
Cutback, slipping just a little bit there was Eddie Williams.
Brought down by number 33, Camden Orlando, and number 17, David.
Orlando Cougar in on the stop. Brings up a 3rd and 5 situation for Fraser.
For the Ramblers.
I mentioned this is a Fraser roster that only features a handful of seniors, and really counting on those underclassmen against a absolutely loaded Dakota team. It's gonna be tough here tonight.
I mean, yeah, if you look across the MAC, you'd be hard pressed to find a single another sophomore starting quarterback.
It's gonna be Omar Bell once again, and just stacked up by that defense. Matt Love, one of the defensive backs for Dakota, with the tackle. And Berezowski heads to the sidelines. And Fraser's talking this one over. Would you be shocked if they went for it here on 4th down?
I definitely would not be shocked, and it looks like as Berezowski heads back onto the field, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Down 3 touchdowns, you figure why not? Struggled with that last punt, so they're just going to keep the offense out. Tight formation. They send Bell in motion, split off to the quarterback's right, and then you had a flinch on the left side of the line, and now that might change Fraser's mind just a bit here as a walk-off 5 yards on the false start penalty.
Yeah, and it looks like the punt team is now on. There's a big difference between 4th and 4 and 4th and 9 for sure.
Berezowski is the punter as well, so that might be something to pay close attention to later on in this game, to have your quarterback as your punter. Snap is low. Berezowski drops it, gets it back up, and just kind of kicks one straight up into the air. And it's fielded at the 33 and kind of run out of bounds there by Matt Love.
Berezowski's lucky he didn't get that last punt blocked, as that ball just about hit the turf. It took him a couple seconds to get it off, but fortunately for the Ramblers, that Dakota was dropping back in coverage as opposed to sending a few more guys at him, because if there was a couple more coming, they're likely to get to that football.
Pay close attention to number 50 for Fraser, Jalen Richardson, one of the senior captains on that defensive line. He's a guy that really going to get after it here for Fraser tonight. There he is. Drosky back out there. Junior signal caller for Dakota, looking to shake off last week's performance. Looking to go deep, floats one out. It's got Stepney out there, the running back, catches it in stride inside the 10-yard line. Nice throw right on the money by Drosky.
Fantastic play by Drotsky. Dropped back, looked him off on the right side on that short route, and had Stepney behind everybody on their defense. Fortunately, Shepard Beatty is able to bring him down, and that's what a few people I've ever seen track Stepney down, especially once he sees pay dirt at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, good closing speed there. Nice play by Stepney to get open. Can't teach speed, and he got behind that entire secondary, and Drosky just waited it out and just put one right on the money.
Dakota coming in, not fooling around. 21-0 lead in the first, and they take the first shot deep they can.
And it's going to be Stepney across the goal line. Carries a couple defenders in for the touchdown. It's a clinic right now. Four first quarter touchdowns for Dakota. Kralip will look to add the extra point. A little swinging gate out of the special teams. Matt Love, the holder, puts it down. Kick is up. The kick is perfect. And just like that, the Cougars lead it 28-0.
This is the last team you wanted to run into. If you're looking down, up and down the MAC schedule this week, this is the team you don't want to play. Dakota's scary enough coming off of a loss, but when they lose at home, this team is going to do everything they can to not lose 2 in a row at home.
And really a tough start for Fraser to have to go on the road for your first 2 before coming finally home to take on a MAC Blue opponent next week in Port Huron as league games start up for both teams next week, and really all of the MAC. Dakota will go on the road next week to take on Anchor Bay. Fraser bringing some band members up the 7 or 8 miles or so.
Looks like they call themselves the Stable.
Nice little student section turnout.
Kicking for the Cougars, number 9, Alex Strosky.
Alex Brzozowski kicks that one away for Dakota. Another nice special teams return. Brock Wirchel out there for Fraser. Fraser looking for a sustained offensive drive. Have had 2 fumbles and 2 punts in their 4 offensive possessions. And the ball will be spotted at the 23-yard line. Fraser taking plenty of time to break this huddle before putting their offense back on the field. Brady Berzowski coming out in the shotgun look. Another tight formation. And it's Bell in motion to the right side, looking left and just going to get swallowed up and driven down. Absolutely no time to throw that football. The sack's going to belong to number 24, Caden Sloan.
It's almost like a free race at the quarterback as these linemen are coming off. There was 3 silver helmets on top of Berzowski as he went to the ground, so it's not like it was a close play. You know, if you're the offensive line, you got to start with the offensive line. You have to give your athletes some time. The quarterback, running back, everybody. You have to be able to block.
So 9-yard loss once again on the sack. Brings up a 2nd down and 19. The line of scrimmage will be the 14-yard line. The line to gain will be the 33. Berzowski now under center. Hands off to Omar Bell, just looking for any room to operate and not finding it as he was looking for the edge and driven down at the 12, call it the 13-yard line.
Brought down by number 6, Jack Murray, and number 7, Matt Love.
Jack Murray in on this on the tackle. He had 9 tackles last week, one of the leading tacklers for Dakota.
6'1", 200 pounds. He's a junior linebacker, one guy in the middle for the Cougars. Definitely a staple in there, as you mentioned. Led the team in tackles last week.
Fraser will allow the first quarter clock to tick away, and 12 minutes in the books. The Cougars all over Fraser. They lead at 28-0. We'll take a quick break here. Macomb Township Government Access, but when we come back, the second quarter to play.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Welcome back to Macomb Township Government Access. Brad Fetters alongside Adam Abraham. The teams have traded ends. Fraser looking at a 3rd and long situation, down 28-0. Berezowski, short little pass in the hands of Warchel. It's brought down short of the original line of scrimmage.
Not a bad idea going to the screen. Got the running back behind the defensive lineman actually before he got the ball, but linebacking core did a good job staying true to where they should be and able to bring down the tackle for a small gain.
End over end kick goes straight out of bounds at the 20. Let's see where they eventually spot this football. Say the 25. So Cougar offense back to work. Already up 28-0. We'll see how long the coaching staff sticks with their starters. Zach Reeves, one of the tight ends, into the game. And it'll be Caden Sloan, the deep man, in the tailback position here for Dakota. And Drosky drops back, and that's that fade route once again. A perfectly delivered ball into the waiting hands of Darden Davis for the easy touchdown. And it don't get much easier than that.
Yeah, definitely a height advantage there. Davis comes in at 6'3", going up against Frank Boscovich, just a sophomore defensive back. That's a tough matchup because it was thrown at his head. It was out on line. It wasn't a great fade route throw, but he's able to just muscle that ball away between 2 defenders. He was double teamed on that ball.
And Davis was one of the Cougars that was standing pretty close to us during the pregame, and you and I kind of looked at each other, and he's just a big dude.
Yeah, he's a very big dude. I made the little comment that I didn't realize high schools were getting so big. The guy's bigger than me. I'm not used to that.
6'3", 205. Went up like Kelvin Johnson there to haul that one in. And it is now 35-0.
I don't know how angry Dakota is anymore at this point. I think they came out. And had the start they wanted to. I haven't seen a start like this in a high school football game in a long time. That's just a team clicking, firing. They're not clicking; they're firing on all cylinders.
Well, and it's good to see a guy like Drosky get the taste of last week's game out of his mouth as well after, you know, a disappointing performance, obviously throwing 5 interceptions to come back and got those 3 touchdown passes here tonight.
Kicking for the Cougars, number 16, Colin Kralik.
So 5 touchdown advantage usually means a running clock, but that will not happen until the second half of play. Kralik kicks it deep. That's a really nice kick as it easily sails over the goal line. Automatic touchback.
No, it's let your defense go back out to work. Don't give them a chance to return it.
Kind of had to figure the strength of this year's Dakota squad was probably going to be their lines, and that's really kind of been evident here tonight with that explosive defensive line just really manhandling Fraser up front.
Yeah, there's 4 guys up there. Every time they're getting, at least 3 of them are getting through to the quarterback, the running back, whatever. And when you can get that kind of penetration off your defensive line, that allows your back 7 to really get comfortable in their assignments, not have to worry about storming up to the line to stop a run. When you can trust your front 4, that makes all 11 so much better when you can just rush 4 and know you're going to get the pressure you need to put pressure on the quarterback, make them think, and throw interceptions from the ball, whatever it may be.
Switching the quarterback position. Brett Anderson took that snap. A late penalty flag comes in after the tackle. Jack Murray, the Cougar, in on the tackle. And we got a personal foul call, blow to the head. Going to go against the Cougars. So this will be a 15-yard penalty. And we'll give Fraser a little room now to operate.
Penalty against Dakota.
So Brett Anderson, listed as a sophomore wide receiver, is going to get some looks here now out of the quarterback position.
Be interested to see the practices for the last week about see Fraser.
Oh boy, another poor snap, and Anderson's just going to have to pick that one up and get it back to the line of scrimmage. And this is just a disaster right now for Fraser.
And this is really a scenario where this isn't going to work itself out. If you can't get the ball to a quarterback, that's a fundamental issue. And I don't know if switching up the quarterbacks is the best resolve to that problem. We'll see how much work Brett Anderson has been putting in. They're both sophomores, so you got a couple options over there for the Ramblers.
It's a Fraser team that could make some noise within their league in a couple years based on just the fact that they have so many sophomores getting playing time. And wrapped up and brought down hard that time was Eddie Williams. And another really tough exchange that time between quarterback and running back. Nothing easy right now for Fraser.
That time it didn't even look like it was intentional. It looked like Williams took the ball out of Anderson. It looks like Anderson was looking to pass. Williams was looking to run with it. And Williams ended up getting the ball. Now Williams is going to trot off the field.
Sherrard Beatty, the wide receiver at the very top of the formation. He wears 4 in white. And it's Berezowski back in at quarterback. And we're going to have a timeout called by Fraser. They're going to want to talk this one over as they go back to their original starting quarterback. Much an up and down first week of play out of the MAC Red. You had Dakota obviously losing to Orchard Lake St. Mary's. Eisenhower gets shut out by Brother Rice 7-0. Anchor Bay was the other MAC Red team They took a week 1 loss as they went down in defeat to Ann Arbor Pioneer 13-7, but 3 teams out of the MAC Red came away victors, including Romeo, Chippewa Valley, and Sterling Heights Stevenson.
Yeah, and a couple teams that you expect to make some noise statewide, excuse me. Romeo comes in at the bottom of the top 20 for the free press, along with the defending state champions in Chippewa Valley at number 4.
Berezowski rolls out to his left, throws across his body, took an absolutely huge hit, but delivered a pass right on the money to Beatty for a first down as Berezowski gets up awfully slow as he absolutely got leveled.
And way to stay in as a sophomore quarterback. You got a big defensive lineman bearing in on you. He stood tall, took that hit like a professional, and delivered a dart in there for his receiver to pick up the first down. It's a good use of a timeout.
Hand off this time, looking for the right edge, just not going to find it. Whole host of Cougars in on the tackle as Brock Warchel took the carry up to the 45. Yeah, Chippewa Valley playing that game at Wayne State comes away with the 35-21 victory over Saline, and you wonder how much of a drop-off they're going to experience. They lost quite a bit of talent to graduation. Romeo picked on Oxford 41-14, and Stevenson was the other MAC Red victor last week, 32-7 over Temperance Bedford. Stevenson, a team that's looking to get back to their winning ways. That was a really strong program a handful of years ago as there's another fumble. Coach Justin Newcomb of Sterling Heights Stevenson in his second year after coming over from Warren Cousino, trying to revamp that program.
Yeah, and the MAC Red, you really never know what's going to go on with the defending champs, undefeated, whatever you want to call it, between the likes of Chippewa Valley, Dakota, Sterling Heights, Stephen, Romeo. Even Port Huron Northern gets in the mix sometimes, especially this year. You have a lot of teams who have done some winning at some pretty high level.
So 3rd down and 12. 7:12 remaining in the second quarter. Matthew Mallory out in motion, and nothing available there as Berezowski was just scrambling around for his life. And we'll give Austin Bastian, one of the captains for Dakota, the tackle. And decision time once again for Fraser on the positive side of the 50-yard line. More than likely they'll just go for this one.
Take a chance. Obviously, you gotta move the ball, and at this point, punting doesn't do you a whole lot of good. You got to put up some points. You got to make a play. You can play the field position game all day long, but until you put 35 on the board.
Fourth and 12 is the scenario. The line to gain is the 35-yard line. Berezowski in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Looks to his right for the screen pass. It's going to be incomplete. They're going to say the ball hit the turf. Was looking for Matthew Mallory, who had to go down and even attempt to make that catch. And this will be a turnover on downs for Fraser.
And just tough for Fraser. They can't very, very few moments in this game have a running back or quarterback been looking far enough downfield. I mean, that was 4th and 14, and you threw your check down to your running back 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. The math isn't always going to work out.
So Bedrosky once again out. 3 wide receivers set. 2 wideouts to his right. Handoff straight up the middle. Look out, breaking tackles. And taking this one inside the 10 down to the goal line, stretching out the football. They're going to say he's down at the 1 yard line. That was Caden Sloan, who's gotten a couple runs now out of the tailback position. Finally ridden out of bounds at the 1 yard line, and more than likely you think this very next handoff is going to go right back to Sloan to reward him.
Yeah, able to dodge and duck out of a couple tackles at the linebacker level and bust out to the sideline, tracked down by the safety, but great run by Sloan.
And they will indeed give the next handoff to Sloan, who takes it in, and the route is officially on now.
That touchdown was brought to you by number 24, Caden Sloan.
And Dakota absolutely pouring it on. This is an offense, Adam, a season ago that averaged 33 points per game, and obviously not returning everybody, but an offense that's very capable of putting up those types of numbers once again this year, you would think. And they've scored 42 points here in the first half with 5:47 remaining. It's Cougars 42, Ramblers nothing. And next week's opponent, Anchor Bay, is going to take a look at these results, and they're going to just be shaking their head as they are the next opponent on the Cougars schedule. That's going to be the first MAC Red contest of the season, and Anchor Bay, as you know, is a team and went winless a season ago in the MAC Red as they really took their lumps in league play.
Yeah, and that's we were talking about this before the game, that's a program that has had a lot of success in the past, certainly deserving of being in the MAC Red, but sometimes as a football program in a high school, you go through your ups and downs, and definitely a down, so it's really a bounce back kind of season for Anchor Bay and see if they can put some wins on the board.
As we mentioned, Anchor Bay took that week 1 loss to Ann Arbor Pioneer. Tonight they're at home against Port Huron. Port Huron, another one of those MAC blue schools, so red versus blue tonight. League-wide. Spirovsky with the kick through the back of the end zone that time, showing off his big leg. Obviously, that Orchard Lake St. Mary's loss is going to sting for quite a while, but this is a nice way to get back on track. Orchard Lake St. Mary's winners of the Division III state title in back-to-back-to-back seasons 3 seasons ago, and obviously looking back to get them back on track on those winning ways. A nice victory over this Dakota squad in week 1. And just nothing available right now to Berezowski. Good coverage downfield, and that'll be a coverage sack. Couple yard loss. Bring up a second down and long. 5:25 remaining in the second quarter of play. 42-0 Dakota.
Definitely a coverage sack on that last one, but again, credit that defensive line. 4 rush. There were 6 blockers sitting back for Fraser that time, and still only gave him a couple seconds. It's not giving them all day back there to make a decision. You got a couple, and you got to get the football out.
It's a Dakota defense that welcomes back 7 from a season ago, so it's a very veteran unit on the field.
Eddie Williams on the carry. Brought down by number 33,
Just absolutely limiting Fraser right now. 3rd down and 11. Fraser with only those 6 seniors, to kind of put it in perspective, Dakota has 30 on their roster. So Dakota drops defensive back deep, and this one's floated out to the far sideline. Looking for Matthew Mallory, unable to connect.
Little miscommunication on that route. Mallory was looking left, and then the ball came right, and he ended up about 5 yards off of it. But definitely had a free wide receiver and aiming in the right direction.
Caden Sloan, the Cougar that was the nearest defender on the play.
I mean, if you're Fraser, you have to have an honest evaluation of this game. You're likely out of this game at this point, but it's a chance for you to get live game action against people you don't see, you're not going to see again. Go back, play well in your division, see what happens, but use this game to start working on those little things to get that David versus Goliath mentality.
Nearly had a punt block, as this one will sail out of bounds, and at this point you would think Dakota is going to go very vanilla and go into a base offense, as they just do not want to put really anything on tape at this point.
Certainly you don't want anything on tape, but I'm not exactly sure that's the style of this Cougars offense that we've seen in the history of Greg Bauer, where it's you're going to keep your foot on the gas and you're going to continue to try to execute your game plan. Your game plan doesn't change if it's 0-0 or if it's 100-0.
Well, at this point, we're on pace for 84 points, so we might not get to 100-0, but we might get close. As we mentioned, there will more than likely be a running clock in the second half. Once again, if you're up by 35, Ostrowski, a little timing route that time, finds an open receiver. That's Clinton Robertson.
And here's the opposite side of that, too, as Dakota. You're not pulling your starters yet, because you're still, if you're Greg Bauer, probably still not happy about all those little mistakes they were making last week, and you're going to continue to go out there and finish working and do your job and make sure you're doing what you need to get done.
It's going to be Caden Sloan that's going to get the run now at the tailback position out of this pistol look, and he takes the handoff, works his way through that Fraser defensive line all the way up and past the 10-yard line. So Sloan getting some looks and taking advantage of the carries. He's rattled off a couple really nice looking runs.
Yeah, and Sloan's a great second back for them behind Stepney to have someone to use in a couple different facets. You can go with 2 running back looks, and ultimately you have a backup if someone's down, if someone's not playing well, if someone gets hurt. That's a great tool for them to have in Caden Sloan.
Backing up to Javion Stepney, who's getting all kinds of Division I offers, as Sloan just muscles his way into the end zone. Back-to-back touchdown runs out of the sophomore running back.
And that's a sophomore running back who has a different running style than Stepney. You're going to see Sloan a little bit more between the tackles, a little bit shorter, not as quick, but he's a little stockier, hits you a little bit harder. So he's a little bit more of a bruising running back, where Stepney's really got that A1 speed.
Colin Krailp will look to add the extra point. Snap is good, kick is up, and it too is good. 6 straight Cougar possessions have turned into touchdowns. They now lead at 49-0. Well, if my math is correct, they are now on pace to score 98 points. So we're getting a little closer to your prediction of 100-0.
I wouldn't call that a prediction. I was saying your game style doesn't change.
Okay.
You gotta keep with your game plan.
I agree.
As you mentioned, it's a buzzsaw, but it's when you see athletes to start, They take a step back, and you're Fraser. You're gonna go in the locker room. You're gonna probably bang your helmet a few times. Might slam your hand against the locker or something, and you're gonna be really angry coming back out this second half. You're not gonna let this team do this to you. So you can't drop back to 80% if you're Dakota, because that's when you open your chance up big time for injury.
Well, just talk about a perfect storm coming in here on the road, taking off a very angry Dakota squad, and there was blood in the water right from the opening kickoff, and Dakota took advantage of it, taking it to the house, and Eric Reese with that opening kickoff return, and Cougars now get that 11th man onto the field here for this kickoff.
And Fraser knew it, and they acknowledged it in the pregame that this was a bad loss for Dakota. They weren't happy they lost the ball game, and they're going to be looking at it to take it out on them.
So we mentioned Fraser gets into league play next week against Port Huron. They're going to have to go back on the road the following week to take on Lakeview before a couple home games, including Utica Ford and Port Huron Northern. Their crossover game the very last week of the season will be Lance Cruz once again, who is playing out of the gold this season. Penalty flag thrown. Warchill with the carry there, and face mask call against Dakota.
And those are the small things you can't let get away from you, because if it's a 7-7 ball game right now, that's a significant penalty. Got a team coming back looking to drive before the halftime.
Referee asking for the clock to wind down. Ball's at the 34-yard line. Berezowski under center, hands off to Warchill, who just falls down.
Number 9, Brock Warchill on the carry.
So a loss of a yard will bring up a second down and 11. Line to gain is the 44. 2:05 now remaining first half. All Cougars. Their only miscue thus far has been the missed field goal. Defense late to make their adjustments and get set up.
Oh,
an absolute stick job there by Eric Reese as he gets congratulated by his teammates coming up out of the secondary to make that tackle.
And that was an absolute stuff. That's a right stick up if we're talking Madden. That was one heck of a hit.
Hit stick, huh?
That's coming from a 5'10", 160 defensive back as well, and it didn't look like it.
Form tackle. Led with the shoulders, had the head off to the side. That's how they teach it. And Fraser going to take their time and going to more than likely either take a timeout or take a delay of game here. Probably take a timeout right before the delay of game penalty, and that's what they will in fact do. Just under a minute now remaining in the second quarter of play. Ramblers down 42-0. So really talking to Jason in the preview show, it's really a schedule that kind of sets up for Dakota to get off to a good start with those two opening league games against Anchor Bay and Stevenson, the two schools that were at the bottom of the pecking order in the MAC Red a season ago, and it really sets up for one heck of a matchup on September 27th as Dakota will go on the road to face rival Chippewa Valley.
Yeah, and of course that's going to be a grudge match. That's Team Dakota lost to twice of their 3 losses last year. They lost twice to Chippewa Valley, including in the playoffs, and eventually Chippewa Valley won the state championship. So maybe a little payback coming here from the Dakota side, saying this is our turn.
This is a Dakota team that 3 seasons in a row now, Adam, have failed to get out of the second round of the playoffs.
Number 44, Gavin Moore. That's going to bring up 4th down for the Ramblers.
I mean, playoffs, it's a different kind of beast than high school. Certainly, I don't believe this loss from Orchard Lake St. Mary's is going to fault them into getting into the playoffs. I don't think this team has to worry about it. But certainly, it's nice for them to see that kind of spark, anger, that intensity and tenacity you can play a football game with. If you're Greg Bauer, you go back in the locker room and you say, you play like this every down of every second of every game through the end of the season, and you're going to win them all.
It's been a very nice response out of Dakota as Fraser will take a timeout with 2.5 seconds. And we're just going to head into the locker room here. Fraser, I think, wants to, they want to get this one last playoff. And Dakota headed for the locker room, and there's 2.5 seconds left up on the big board. So Dakota coaching staff is going to have to get the big boys back out onto the field. We're going to have one final time down here. But yeah, really a nice response here in the first half out of Dakota. And more than likely, they will get to those 6 wins that will automatically qualify you for the playoffs. Last year of that playoff format, by the way, 6 automatic wins qualifying you as we go to that strength of schedule playoff format next year. And I think it's a home run by the MHSAA. I think that's been a long time coming, and I think they knocked it out of the ballpark. I think teams like Fraser should get quality points for playing and scheduling a team like Dakota.
Certainly, and I mean, if no offense to the MAC Blue, but the MAC Blue's the MAC Blue. Your competition in the MAC Blue is not going to be of the MAC Red that Dakota has to face in and out.
So we're going to chuck one deep. Pass will miss its mark, and that is how the first half of play will come to a conclusion. All Dakota here. Adam, your thoughts on the first half of play as the Cougars lead at 49-0?
If you're Fraser, go in the locker room, yell a little bit, come out and just try to work forward, make some good plays, win the second half of the ball game. That's what you got to go back and try to get back to the fundamentals.
We'll take a quick break here, Macomb Township Government Access, but when we come back, the second half of play, Cougars lead it 49-0.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream, that I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly, just to come back in a new disguise and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
I'll be right back. Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Macomb County, 27 cities, townships, and villages. From East Point to Memphis, Romeo to New Baltimore. 458 square miles of where you want to be. It's a place where your children can grow, and so can your business. Macomb County's tree-lined borders contain over 12,000 acres of parkland. Its outer edge, 31 miles of freshwater shoreline, both filled each year with countless concerts, festivals, and family reunions. It's the birthplace of advanced technologies that not only instruct future generations, but protect them. Hey, and those are just facts. You can get that from the internet or a book. No. To truly understand what Macomb County is all about, you need to experience it. You need to live here. You need to work here. When you do that, you'll know. your home.
Welcome back to Dakota High School. Brad Fetters alongside Adam Abraham calling tonight's Action Varsity Boys football. Dakota Cougars all over the Fraser Ramblers, 49-0. Nearly set to go here in the third quarter of play. Second half, we'll have a running clock throughout the second half unless Fraser can cut into this lead. The rule in Michigan high school football is anything larger than a 35-point lead results in a running clock. Short kick, fielded at the 6 and muffed. Picked up at the 15 and met right there. And driven down hard by Nick Booten.
Dangerous play there by Omar Bell to try to pick that one up with the defense coming down on him like that, but able to pick it up, secure the ball. Maybe one where you look at it and it's like, maybe just fall on that ball and protect it. But regardless, he's got his Ramblers 1st and 10.
So there's your first look at that running clock. I mean, even on exchanges like this, that clock just continues to run. Nearly a perfect first half of play out of Dakota.
Couple small mistakes on the penalties. Played well, very well defensively, I thought, especially on that. Give that front four a ton of credit. And there they are making another tackle.
5 different Cougars with touchdowns. Got started with Eric Reese taking one to the house on the very opening kickoff of the game. Trevor Duff, a couple touchdown receptions. Javion Stepney with a touchdown run. Darden Davis with a beautiful catch on a fade play as Fraser runs it on 2nd down, gets back to the line of scrimmage, and nothing more. And then Caden Sloan got that touchdown run and came right back with another touchdown run. So Sloan with those 2 kind of put the exclamation point on the first half of play.
It really gave you a little bit of everything. You saw a little bit of Stepney, not a whole lot, probably getting the break after playing every snap in last week's game.
Pitch looking for the outside, just nothing there. Getting it back to the 20-yard line. Brock Shaw goes down. Carry-on Murphy with the tackle. That'll bring up 4th and 4.
For the Ramblers.
Fraser will have to punt this ball away. Couple Fraser turnovers. 4 punts in that first half. A turnover on downs was the Fraser drives. A much better kick this time. Will eventually get down at the 41-yard line. That's where Dakota will put the ball in play. Their very first possession now of the second half. And more than likely, you would think we've seen the last of Zach Drosky. Matt Love was taking some snaps at the quarterback position during warm-ups prior to the start of the second half.
Yeah, we'll see what Bauer wants to come out here and do with this team. And it is Love trotting out onto the field at the quarterback position. Certainly a chance for Drosky to get that bad taste out of his mouth and move forward into that Anchor Bay game now.
Love will hand off to Kramer. Kramer dodges his way through the initial pressure. Adam Kramer, the junior, 5'9", 160 running back. Picks up 3, brings up a 2nd down and 7 to go. 8:25 now left in the third quarter.
Matt Love's a senior defensive back, as well as the backup quarterback listed at 5'10", so he's on the smaller side, but he's a very active in the secondary, very, very important piece to this Cougars defense. 5 tackles last week for him, a few more today.
Kramer going right up the middle, running hard, up to the Fraser 40.
And I'll be shocked if Dakota takes this ball off the ground. I expect everything here on out just about to be to be a run, control the ball. Don't give the possessions back to Fraser and just let this clock eat itself up.
So Kramer comes out, replaced in the backfield by Kevin Carragay.
Probably with the roster as big as Dakota has and all these bodies on the sideline, you struggle to find playing time because ultimately you're here to win a ball game. So some of these second, third string guys.
Bad exchange between quarterback and running back, and even the botch plays turn into positives as Matt Love was able to take that all the way up to the 34-yard line, picked up 6 on the botched play.
Very athletic play from Love, but as I mentioned, it'll probably be a carousel in at running back, you know, especially it being Parents' Night. It's a significant night, and at some point in your career as an athlete, you want to touch the ball on your home field, no matter what your role is on a roster, on a team to help you win ball games. Obviously, your goal is to win the championship, but you want to do some personal things that you can keep with you as you move on from football and from the high school.
Carragay takes it right up the middle. Tyler Bednarczyk in on the stop for Fraser.
Ball carried by number 38, Kevin Carragay.
3rd and short coming up. Call it 4 yards to gain.
Small gain on the play. That's going to bring up 3rd down and 4.
Matt Love bringing the play call into the huddle from the sidelines. And we'll break it. 3 wide receivers set. They'll spread it out. 3 down linemen for Fraser. 3 linebackers. Make that initial penetration. Good stop there defensively by Fraser. Corey McDonald, Bednarczyk again.
And number 21, Corey McDonald.
It was Bednarczyk who got through the defensive line, made that initial contact. He slipped out of it, but Corey McDonald right there helping his teammate out, able to wrap him up and bring him down to the ground. It looks like Dakota's going to go for it here, huh?
4th and 4 from the 35. This would be 52-yard field goal. Really no sense in punting it, so they'll go for it on 4th and 4. Kind of that no man's land right at the 35 in the high school game, and Love's going to have his first pass bounce off the shoulder pads of his would-be receiver. That was number 87, Jakari Foster. I think it may have surprised Foster just a little bit.
And that was a dart thrown in there by Love to whistle that ball in there right as Foster was turning around.
An absolute fastball. I don't know. Maybe Matt Love could be on the pitching rotation for Dakota in the spring, because that was an absolute heater.
Regardless, a pass, good ball by Love, a pass you really should catch, and if it would have been a first down.
Berezowski back under center for Fraser, sends a man in motion. It's Omar Bell around the edge, just nothing there. We talked about Dakota giving up all those yards on the ground a week ago. 332 have bounced back nicely. Dominated the line of scrimmage here tonight.
Absolutely, and after giving up 200-plus yards on the ground alone to that wishbone offense of Orchard Lake St. Mary's, it's a nice change of pace for Dakota to really, if anybody's going to be mad on this roster, it's that front four. They got beat up last week.
Just nothing there for Fraser once again. Gavin Moore in on the stop for Dakota.
When I say they're angry and beat up, that wasn't a fault necessarily to the defensive line. They were on the field a lot. 5 turnovers on offense. You're going to get tired and worn down like Orchard Lake St. Mary did to them in the 4th quarter when they eventually ended up losing that ball game last week.
That wishbone offense is a lot like the service academies, right? You're going to see it with Army against Michigan this week, and they're going to run 80 plays from the line of scrimmage and just really kind of limit your looks offensively because they're just going to control the time of possession. Little swing pass to the flats. Bell trying to wiggle his way through all those Dakota defenders in blue, and it was just a blue wall out there. 3 minutes now left in the 3rd quarter, and 4th and long situation once again for Fraser.
Phenomenal nose for the football today for this Dakota defensive staff. Every time there's a run, pass, it seems 2 or 3 bodies are not only on top of the player, all 11 are converging on the ball, which is that's a fundamental type of deal with defenses where you really got to swarm the football. It sounds easy, it sounds pretty simple, but some guys get caught up in their zones, in their coverages, whatever it may be. But once that ball crosses the line of scrimmage on the ground or in the air, you got to get to the ball.
So Fraser will go for it. Borzowski out to his right. Nicely thrown ball to that far sideline. Hauled in by Sherrard Beatty. Good enough for a first down and remove the chains.
Good dart to be able to roll out away from pressure. Got the ball high in the hands, exactly what he wanted to do it, and just enough separation from the wide receiver to be able to make a catch. Just past the first down marker, it all came together that time for Fraser. A well-executed offensive play.
So Fraser will scrimmage from the 46. Borzowski out of the shotgun. Good protection up front. Rolls to his right. Will tuck it this time. Rolls up that far sideline and eventually works his way out of bounds, but good enough for a first down. So back-to-back nice plays for Fraser as they look to gain a little bit of momentum. And Fraser sideline making some noise now for the first time tonight.
And we're going to continue to fight and battle, try to pull some momentum. Give your coaching staff and your teammates something to work with moving forward. Don't let tonight just be a complete washout, because you can still work on your game and bring that storyline into the week after.
Borzowski breaks the huddle. Under a minute now left in the third quarter. Sherrard Beatty out to his right. Khalil Roy at the bottom of your screen. Some really nice downfield blocking. Is going to spring the running back. Reaching out for the pylons, Eddie Williams. Touchdown, Fraser.
And just a phenomenal individual effort that time from Williams. Both probably hit every defensive player out there, it seemed like, and just kept rolling them down. And you did mention that he picked up some great downfield blocks to be able to wheel that one into the end zone.
So that Fraser pep band making some noise, as is the stable, the student section from Fraser. It's been a rough night, but the Ramblers get on the scoreboard. They now trail 49-6 as we wait for the extra point attempt. It'll be Jackson Fishburne to add on the extra point, and he knocks it through the uprights. With 29 seconds remaining in the third quarter, it is now 49-7 as Fraser gets rid of that big goose egg up on the scoreboard.
Get off the saddle, or back onto the saddle, off the schneid. Be able to work something. That just a phenomenal individual effort that time by Williams to be able to bowl into the end zone. Incredibly strong runner.
Pulling some positives out of this game, as that drive there was the first one that really was sustained, that drove deep into Dakota territory, and the result was a long touchdown by Eddie Williams. Let's see here, Fraser wants to kick this one deep. And came out with that short kick on the very opening kickoff of the ball game. It'll be Fishburne to kick it off. Dakota's kind of in your standard setup for a kick return, and finally they're going to bring some guys up. Up backs all the way up now to about the 30. Fishburne will indeed kick it short, and it's muffed, and on the carpet, and it looks like the Cougars were able to pounce on it. I've yet to get an indication from the referee. Oh, now it'll come. It is going to be Dakota ball on the 41-yard line. So dangerous play there.
Good play that time, not trying to do too much. I mean, if the ball hits you in the chest, it's kind of a weird hop, but mature, smart play to just fall on top of that ball.
Well, Dakota 4-0 all-time against Fraser will more than likely improve that record to 5-0. That will do it for the third quarter with that running clock. When we come back from break, we'll let you know the other 4 schools that Dakota's never lost to. That'll be after this break here at Macomb Township Government Access. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back. Fourth quarter play.
Hi, I'm Jordan Peele. I'm usually trying way too hard to be funny. Well, right now I'm going to be completely serious with you. Online bullying is a toxic side effect of modern technology. No one's immune to it. Not you, not me, nobody. But there's a way we can fix it. This emoji in the symbol section of your phone's emoji keyboard. Use it when you see bullying online to say, I see what you're doing, not cool, definitely not funny. And I know what funny is. I coined the phrase wordness to the turdness. So join me and become a witness. When you see bullying online, use this emoji to do something. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org.
Welcome back to Dakota High School. They lead at 49-7 over Fraser, and call it in the business of tease. And as we were going into break, we told you that Dakota's 4-0 all-time against Fraser. It's one of 5 schools that Dakota has not lost to that they've played more than twice. That's the little caveat there. You got to play a team more than twice to technically have an undefeated record against them. The other 4 schools that Dakota has yet to lose to. Heavy dose of MAC blue schools and a couple white teams. Grosse Pointe North, Port Huron Northern, Port Huron. The other team that Dakota has never lost to is Lakeshore. Pinballing back there in the backfield. Number 28, Adam Kramer.
I want to throw it out there just for the record. I would have given myself 2.5. I had Lakeview, not Lakeshore.
You had Lakeview highlighted?
Didn't expect Grosse Pointe North, though.
Grosse Pointe North, South, kind of the powers of the white. These 2 teams hooked up last season. It was a 45-15 victory for Dakota. They also matched up in 2007. That also went the way of Dakota, obviously 45-14, 38-0 shutout victory in 06, and a 24-6 win in 2001. So Dakota's really had Fraser's number.
Brought down by number 4, Sherrard Beatty.
I'll bring up a 4th down and 9, and Dakota will punt the ball away. Colin Craylip, the kicker, will be your punter here.
Fraser just shy of half the size of Dakota.
Dakota, the largest high school in the state of Michigan.
3,034. Their enrollment hit over 3,000 this year. Located in one of the fastest growing townships in the state as well,
Fraser,
in terms of population.
Fraser's not very big. In terms of size. Good kick by Craylip. Going to be downed at the 34-yard line. Clock just continues to run as Dakota will get their defensive personnel onto the field. Anchor Bay on the road next week to kick off league play.
going to be an interesting year in the MAC. Obviously, Chippewa Valley comes back, defending champs. Dakota's on the rise. A lot of people think very highly of Romeo this year.
And a nice QB keeper into Dakota territory. Brady Berezowski showing off his wheels.
Continuing down the MAC Red, Sterling Heights Stevenson is someone not a few people have written in as a potential playmaker in the MAC Red, and obviously Eisenhower always comes to the table to compete as well.
Yeah, Stevenson went 5-4 last season, didn't get in with those automatic 6 wins, but we talked about the playoff scenarios changing next season as Eddie Williams ripped off another nice run as he's showed off his skills in the second half. Stevenson's a team that would benefit from that strength of schedule playoff seedings. They would have been a team that would have gotten in last year with that 5-4 record just due to the strength of their schedule. Playing all those MAC Red schools and their non-conference games were so tough. So Stevenson's a team that could be a little bit of a team that could upset some people in the MAC Red.
That'll definitely make the first week of high school football a lot more interesting now because of
another QB keeper, Berezowski, ooh, got leveled just shy of the 10-yard line. They'll mark him down at the 11. And Jason Burt and myself making our predictions for the MAC Red. I took this Dakota team to win it all. He took Chippewa Valley. Adam, got any thoughts, maybe some predictions on who you think might take home the crown in the MAC Red?
You always got to go with the defending champ, Chippewa Valley.
Yeah, that's what Jason said,
it's
too.
Textbook. It's just textbook.
It's a little bit of a cop-out, if you ask me. Can't always take the defending champions, can you?
It was close. I'm not going to say it was off. I think this Dakota team's very good and could make a lot of noise.
I think you could see it. I think you could easily see a share in the MAC Red with, one loss by a couple different teams. Berezowski is going to keep it himself. Nice tackle brought down from behind by number 52, Trayvon Biddle. And if you want to catch that season preview show, you can online, macomb-mi.gov. You can also check us out on YouTube. This game will be on our YouTube channel as well. And cool thing about YouTube is you can subscribe to our YouTube page and get all kinds of notifications of when our programs will air. We'll have plenty of high school football for you here in the fall, and plenty of basketball action in the winter. Looking forward to calling those games as well. Fumble on the exchange once again, and see who comes out of this scrum with the ball. Referee's going to have to get that dog pile settled, and Dakota, of course, saying they have it, and indication is it will stay with Fraser. So you're taking the Big Reds, huh?
Got to take the Big Reds, but this is MAC can shake out anyway. The last division title for Dakota when they went undefeated in 2015. Romeo wins the Class A or Division I championship. So you never know what these MAC Red teams just beat up on each other all through the season. It's so hard to get a read, and that's why the momentum's important. It's an important factor coming in. You can start off as strong as you want, and it's important to start strong. I think it's far more important in high school. You got to finish strong.
I think it was Coach Merchant at the MAC conference press conferences. There's a touchdown for Fraser. It's going to be Omar Bell. He said flat out, the MAC Red is the best league in the state of Michigan. And you look at, since the playoff format has been shifted to expand and allow more teams in the last 20 years, in half of those years, 10 seasons, you've had a MAC Red team playing for a state title.
Of course, we had back-to-back here. State championships for Dakota in the early 2000s. We had Eisenhower in the state championship 5 of 6 years. Romeo's been a couple times.
Extra point is good.
Sterling Heights Stevenson win in 2009 and 04. Dakota was back-to-back winners 06, 07.
Yeah, the Sterling Heights Stevenson team back in 09, coached by and had Fracassa at quarterback. That was a really special team that made it all the way to Ford Field before eventually falling to Catholic Central. Stevenson was a power in the MAC Red at one time. Looking to get back there for sure.
And I think Merchant's comments reflect that every league has the superpower. You know, for the Catholic League, it's going to be Detroit Catholic Central. For the PSL, it's going to be Detroit Cass Tech. Every year, different MAC Red teams in that ball game where you just see the consistent. You see Clarkston out of Oakland County, DCC, Cass Tech, and outside of that, you got a whole bunch of MAC Red teams.
Well, if Dakota plays like they played here tonight, they are going to be favorites in seemingly every ball game. When we circle that one on September 27th, that one's going to be played at Chippewa Valley, maybe a pseudo MAC Red championship game as Fraser, hold on a second, looked like maybe procedure penalty on the kickoff. A lot of football yet to be played, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be one heck of a title run for one of the teams in the MAC Red, and they're going to certainly deserve that title. Absolutely loaded from top to bottom. Just feel bad for a team like Anchor Bay who makes that jump up a season ago, and they're taking their lumps. It was Warren Mott a few seasons ago, and L'Anse Creuse North got a few years in the MAC Red. So 4:49 remaining in regulation. It's 49-14, and that one's going to go out of bounds, so that will be a penalty on Fraser. Legal procedure, kick out of bounds. So the ball will go back to Dakota offensively. 7 first half touchdowns for the Cougars. Second unit defensively is giving up a couple Rambler touchdowns. Matt Love back in at quarterback. Gonna look to put the finishing touches on this blowout win. Love out of the shotgun, surveys the field, hands off, straight up the gut. Carragay, number 38, cross the first down markers. That'll be good enough for a Cougar first down. Ball spotted at the 37-yard line. Clock continues to run, 4:15 now remaining in the fourth quarter. So glad you decided to tune us in tonight. Brad Fetters alongside Adam Abraham. Perfect spot to be on a Friday night under the lights, right at the 50-yard line high atop Dakota High School. Carragay once again. Tackle made by Ryan Embry. Good enough for 6 yards. Bring up second down and 4 to go. Love only attempting that one pass. Just a steady dose of the ground game here in the second half with that big lead.
Certainly no reason to put unneeded, unwarranted risk in throwing the ball, risk an interception. It's a lot more risk in the pass game.
Really no point in running up the score as well.
Number 38,
Carragay once again bring up a 3rd and 3 from the 30-yard line. Line to gain. It's going to be the 27-yard line. Fraser really has gotten after it defensively in the second half. Much better penetration up front.
Certainly a different level of intensity.
Kramer got the carry there, and Benarchik in on the stop for the Ramblers. So 4th and short, they'll once again keep the offensive unit on the field. Under 2 minutes now remaining in the fourth quarter. Really a nice game out of your quarterback here tonight, Zach Drosky. Made some really perfect throws, I thought, in that first half.
Certainly, and they were not shallow throws by any means of the imagination. They were difficult next-level passes.
The coaching staff kind of compared him to where they thought Mark Toko was as a junior, and that's some pretty heavy praise as Toko came in and played really well as junior and senior years quarterbacking this Dakota squad, and eventually got him that gig at Albion as a quarterback. So you just knew Drosky's, son of a coach, brother played quarterback. You just knew he was going to bounce back, and he did here tonight with some really well-thrown balls. So Dakota will improve their record to 1-1, and they will look forward once again to next week, going on the road to take on Anchor Bay. Love able to get that high snap down in pursuit. The Ramblers are coming after him. They're going to get him. They bring him down in the backfield. Good pursuit that time by Logan Westerfield. So it'll be a turnover on downs. Ball back over to Fraser with 1:20 and running. So Fraser going to have to hurry up and get their offense onto the field if they want to get a couple plays off. Clock continues to run as they trail by 35 points.
Certainly use it as a teaching moment. Go out there, you got a minute left, you need a touchdown, go get it.
So we'll see if Fraser can indeed do that. And we mentioned just how young this Fraser team is. The future looks bright. This was a tough situation for them to come into, and no reason for them to hold their heads. They played well enough. QB keeper, dangerous looking tackle.
Number 8, Brett Anderson. Tackled in the backfield by
Carry on Murphy, one of the Cougars in on the tackle, and see if Fraser decides maybe to run one more offensive play. Nope, it looks like the entire offensive unit's going to come over to the sideline, and they will line up to shake hands in the form of sportsmanship we always see after the high school game. Adam, big win here tonight for the Dakota Cougars. They take it 49-14, your final score. Dakota needed a game like this tonight, and they delivered in a big way.
Yeah, firing on all cylinders. The run game was there. Drosky looked a lot better at quarterback. The defense figured some things out. This is the response Dakota wanted their players to have coming into this game.
Nice job by our MTGA crew tonight. Jason Radulski, James Drum, and Jason Burton on cameras. Adam Abraham up in the booth here with me. I'm Brad Fetters saying goodnight from Dakota High School. Once again, your final score, the Dakota Cougars 49, the Fraser Ramblers 14. We'll see you next time right here on Macomb Township Government Access Channel 5.